if you'd like to learn some Spanish with me directly, I have a couple of courses that are available through Tacoma Language Academy, tacomalanguageacademy.com. I have the Spanish Story Lab, which is for true beginners. So if you've never had Spanish before and are looking for some directed guidance, this Spanish Story Lab will help you learn Spanish through stories. And we'll make stories together that are unique to your class, and they'll be similar to the ones you might hear on this podcast. I have another course called Spanish Language Accelerator, and that one is going to come up this summer. You can learn more at tacomalanguageacademy.com, tacomalanguageacademy.com. Hola, 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 y bienvenidos a otro episodio de Listen, Read, Interact. Welcome to another episode of Listen, Read, Interact. This is episode number 77. You can follow along on the show notes page at listenreadinteract.com/77. There is a link as well in the show notes, in the show description, the episode description for today's episode. My name is Andrew Snyder. I am the host of the Listen, Read, Interact podcast. I am a Spanish language professor. I've been teaching Spanish for over 15 years. We got to be coming up on 16 or 17 at this point. I lose track of time. But that is what I do, and that's what I'm passionate about. And every quarter that I teach at a local college. I also teach at the Tacoma Language Academy. And every quarter that I teach, I'm always trying to improve my systems. And over the years, I have developed a system that is fun, that is engaging, that is dynamic, that helps build proficiency, actual proficiency in the language. And I am ecstatic about it. I am a huge proponent of this way of learning languages, and especially of using stories as a way to anchor yourself in the language. Because, we humans are storytelling creatures. We tell stories. We love to hear stories. Our ancestors would sit around the campfire and tell stories to each other. Little kids today will sit and listen to a book and listen and listen and listen and listen, and they might memorize a story, but not like you would memorize vocabulary, but they would learn it by heart. And if you can learn some stuff by heart in Spanish, that's a really good way to kind of sink your hooks into the language and be able to pull yourself along little by little. As you get more language under your belt, you're able to hear more complex, more entertaining things. And that is what the idea of this show is. If you're a true beginner, today's episode might be a little advanced for you, so I recommend going back to episode number 50 or to check out the Start Here course, listenreadinteract.com/start. listenreadinteract.com/start. The name of the show is Listen, Read, Interact, and so today we're going to listen some, we're going to read some. Obviously, you can't read unless you go to the show notes page. That's where it's at. But listen and read, and then interact with that language in some way. And there's many ways to do that at the show notes page. There's interactive activities. There's activities that you could do writing out on a sheet of paper. There's all sorts of stuff that you can do to interact. You can interact by repeating out loud, especially these example sentences we'll hear in just a moment. You could repeat them out loud. If you go to the show notes page, you can click on those sentences and reveal their English translations. And so there's a blue box there that says ejemplos. That's in part 1. Part 2 is a short reading. So there's 3 parts total. Part 1 is those examples and some ways to interact. Part 2 is a short reading, and that short reading builds into a longer reading in part 3. And in each section, part 1, part 2, and part 3, there are ways to interact with the text that you heard. There's ways to read the text that you will hear on the episode today. And so the show notes in companion with the audio in the podcast is really where it's at. So listening to Spanish, reading Spanish, and interacting with Spanish in some way. Today's episode is a continuation of a series. It's a 3-parter, and today is part 2 of that 3-part series. So check out that. And if you go to listenreadinteract.com, on the drop-down menu at the top, if you go there, I'll go there right now, listenreadinteract.com, there's a thing that says LRI, Listen, Read, Interact. You click on that. It says Episodes, Series. And you can click on Series, and you see there are a number of series that I've done over the course of this podcast. There is Un Café Antes del Fin del Mundo. There's a 5-part series that you can check out there. There's La Venganza se la sirve con mayonesa. That's a 3-part series. And El Café Portento, which is a 3-part series as well. And then this new one is Caída en Cerro, Torre. And that one is a 3-part series too. So lots of series, and there will be more series coming, which means that if you want to just find the story section, you'll be able to hear that and be able to put them all together easily. They're all organized for you. There's a nice way to click to the next one and the previous one. And so check out those series. There's also a link in the on the home page as well. So if you just go to the home page and scroll down, you'll find this series things, and that is stories that go across multiple episodes. And the reason behind that is, it's nice to have these kind of building blocks, this scaffolding that gets you from not a lot of language to a little bit more language to a little bit more language. And maybe you want to spend 3 days, one day going over part 1, one day going over part 2, and one day going over part 3. It really helps to spread out your language acquisition over multiple days. And there's so many episodes now of Listen, Read, Interact that if you're just starting, you'll be able to put together, if there's 70, if there's 50 episodes, that's 150 days. And there's 75, so I can't even do that math. That math is too hard for me, So you have lots of days that you can spread out your language acquisition. And I think that's a wonderful, a fantastic, an incredible idea, an outstanding product. That's really what I think I've put together here, is an outstanding product. All right, so let's get going then with part 1, which are these example sentences. When you hear the music, we'll be all in Spanish. There'll be a bell between sections, so you know when you moved on to part 2. We'll have a brief intermission, and we'll come back for the final part of the show. Thank you so much. Muchas gracias. Vamos adelante. Ejemplos. Mi abuelo vive en un pueblito tranquilo del sur. Mi abuelo vive en un pueblito tranquilo del sur. Mi abuelo vive en un pueblito tranquilo del sur. 2. Nosotros vemos un glaciar enorme durante el viaje. Nosotros vemos un glaciar enorme durante el viaje. Nosotros vemos un glaciar enorme durante el viaje. 3. La pared de esa montaña parece muy difícil. La pared de esa montaña parece muy difícil. La pared de esa montaña parece muy difícil. 4. A veces hay desprendimientos de rocas después de una tormenta. A veces hay desprendimientos de rocas después de una tormenta. A veces hay desprendimientos de rocas después de una tormenta. 5. Yo agarro la mochila y salgo rápido de la casa. Yo agarro la mochila y salgo rápido de la casa. Yo agarro la mochila y salgo rápido de la casa. 6. Mi primo se cae jugando al fútbol y piensa que se va a romper el brazo. Mi primo se cae jugando al fútbol y piensa que se va a romper el brazo. Mi primo se cae jugando al fútbol y piensa que se va a romper el brazo. 7. Ustedes tienen que oprimir este botón para abrir la puerta. Ustedes tienen que oprimir este botón para abrir la puerta. Ustedes tienen que oprimir este botón para abrir la puerta. 8. La guía ayuda a los turistas a bajar por un camino seguro. La guía ayuda a los turistas a bajar por un camino seguro. La guía ayuda a los turistas a bajar por un camino seguro. Lectura breve. A las 7 de la mañana llego a El Calafate con mi amiga Ramona. Luego vamos en coche a El Chaltén, un pueblito alpino. Salimos caminando para la montaña y caminamos por varias horas. Cruzamos un glaciar y avanzamos hasta llegar a la pared. Empezamos a escalar, pero de repente hubo un desprendimiento de rocas. Me caigo y choco con la montaña. ¡Ay! Grito, porque estoy agarrando la cuerda con mucha fuerza y tengo mucho dolor. ¿Estás bien?, me pregunta Ramona. No, le digo. Creo que me rompí la pierna. Ramona oprime el botón del transmisor de emergencia en su cinturón y luego me ayuda a bajar con la cuerda. Cuando llegamos al suelo, hay un helicóptero de rescate. Los paramédicos me examinan y me llevan al hospital. Just a brief intermission and we'll be right back to the show. Listen, Read, Interact is a value for value podcast. And so if you're finding value in these episodes, and there have been 77 of them so far, plus some bonus content, all I ask in return is that you provide some value back my way. And there's many ways to do that, but a great way to do that is to make a monetary donation to the show. These monetary donations do help cover the costs of putting the show out there. Hosting, all that stuff is not free. And as the show grows, it gets a little bit more expensive. So if you wouldn't mind supporting the show, consider supporting the show. And any amount, any frequency, all I ask is that you donate value in the amount of value that you feel that you've received. So I've seen people donate before that if they've been listening for a while and they've listened to a number of episodes, they donate $5 an episode. Or those $4 weekly sustaining donations help out a ton. Or one-time donations that are big amounts. That's very, very helpful. If you donate $50 and above, I will read your name, location, and amount on the show, and a short note from you as well if you've got one. And so that is a way of saying thank you to all the people that have donated. Hey, thank you so much. You can donate at listenreadinteract.com/donate. listenreadinteract.com/donate. There is a link as well in the episode description in your podcast player, and you can donate with Stripe or you can donate with PayPal. There's a link to Buy Me a Coffee, which is another one I've tried out, and listenreadinteract.com/donate. And that is a huge, huge help. That really is what keeps us going. There's no advertising on Listen, Read, Interact, and I want to keep it that way. I don't feel like it's worth your time or money to go spend on some software that probably doesn't work very well. Listenreadinteract.com/donate. Thank you so much. Muchas gracias. Vamos a continuar con el programa. Lectura completa. A las 7 de la mañana, Victoria y Ramona llegan a El Calafate, una ciudad pequeña en el sur de la Patagonia. Luego fueron en coche a El Chaltén, un pueblito alpino en la provincia de Santa Cruz. Salieron caminando para la montaña. Caminaron por varias horas. Cruzaron un glaciar y avanzaron por terreno técnico hasta llegar a la pared. Entonces las amigas comenzaron a escalar. Estaban escalando cuando, de repente, hubo un desprendimiento de rocas. Lamentablemente, Victoria se cayó y chocó con la montaña con un gran crack. ¡Ay!, gritó Victoria, quien estaba agarrando la cuerda con todas sus fuerzas. Era obvio que estaba en mucho dolor. ¡Victoria!, gritó Ramona. ¿Estás bien? No, dijo Victoria. Creo que me rompí la pierna. ¿En serio?, preguntó su amiga. Sí, es que me duele mucho. Así que Ramona oprimió el botón del transmisor de emergencia que estaba en el cinturón. Luego, con mucho cuidado, ayudó a bajar a Victoria con la cuerda. Cuando llegaron al suelo, había un helicóptero de rescate que estaba esperándolas. Los paramédicos examinaron a Victoria y entonces la llevaron al hospital en el helicóptero. Bueno, ¿qué te parece? Next Saturday, there'll be the exciting conclusion to this 3-part series, Caída en Cerro, Torre. So tune in next week. Every Saturday, there's a new episode of Listen, Read, Interact. Sometimes there's some bonus content that shows up in the middle of the week as well. So be staying tuned, please, and check back with us every Saturday for some more content in Spanish. Hey, muchas gracias. Thank you so much to everyone who has donated and helps support the show. That really does keep us going. I see you. I appreciate you $4 weekly sustainers. That's super helpful to us. listenreadinteract.com/donate. One more time. listenreadinteract.com/donate. Espero que tengan una semana increíble, inolvidable y pues que les vaya muy, muy bien. Muchas gracias y hasta la próxima.